Welcome to our discussion, folks. We're diving into those hidden Trump Putin agreements in Alaska, as outlined by Gilbert Doctorow.
I'm really excited about this. It's such a twist in the geopolitical narrative. What's the main takeaway here?
Well, the crux is that during this secretive meeting in Alaska, Trump apparently accepted the Russian stance that a peace agreement, one that resolves political disputes, is necessary,
Indeed.
not simply an unconditional ceasefire.
That really shakes things up. So it's like, rather than stopping all fighting regardless, there's this push for negotiations that actually iron out the underlying issues, right?
Exactly. It's like instead of slamming an off switch, they wanted to rebuild the circuitry, which is a pretty radical redesign in terms of strategy.
Yep.
Dr. O emphasizes that very point.
I'm curious though, what about the evidence? It seems bold for such a high-profile policy shift to come out of a covert Alaska meeting.
True, and Dr. O builds his argument on some intriguing sources and contextual clues. He details the significance and even ties it to his new book, War Diaries, Volume 1, which focuses on the Russia-Ukraine war of 2022-2023.
Right, that's a major detail. So, Dr. O's book isn't just a chronicle. It's like an investigative tool that helps us understand these shadow agreements.
Yeah, and it's fascinating because he positions these hidden agreements as game changers. I mean, who would have thought that an Alaskan rendezvous would carry so much geopolitical weight?
It's pretty eye-opening. But don't you think it's a bit speculative to assert that such high-stake decisions were simply made there? There must be layers of complexity, right?
Absolutely, I'd agree with you there. It's important to note that Dr. O is piecing together these narratives from various leaked or discreetly relayed pieces of evidence. It's not like there's a signed document on the table.
Yeah, that's a fair point. So, do we see this as a shift towards, say, a more diplomatic resolution to conflicts like what we've seen in Ukraine?
In a way, yes. The argument is that instead of a brute force unconditional ceasefire, the approach would steer towards peace negotiations, a political settlement. It's like you're trading pressure for process.
Exactly. That idea definitely brings up questions about domestic and international reactions. I can imagine both supporters and critics would have strong responses.
Right you are. And there's a sort of irony too. Trump, known for his tumultuous style, seemingly supports a nuanced peace agreement, in stark contrast to an absolute ceasefire, which might be politically less palatable for
Yeah,
some.
it's like you definitely wouldn't expect that twist. What really stands out to me is the location, Alaska. It seems intentionally chosen to be remote, almost like the perfect hideaway for a secretive summit.
Exactly, it has that kind of mystique. I mean, Alaska, with its vast emptiness and rugged terrain, serves as an ideal backdrop for clandestine negotiations.
That's an interesting perspective. And along with that, Dr. O also talks about how this conversation impacts how we see US foreign policy. There's a real tension there with conservatism and the Greater Eurasia Initiative influences.
Absolutely. This meeting wasn't happening in a vacuum, you know? It feeds into a broader narrative about realpolitik, national interests over overt ideals. Dr. O seems to suggest that sometimes, deep down, power brokers may favor negotiated solutions to avoid prolonged conflict.
Right, that's a compelling point. But I have to ask, isn't there a risk that these so-called secret agreements might be interpreted as undermining established policies or even international norms?
That's a solid challenge, and it's one that many experts have raised. On one hand, there's the argument for pragmatic peacemaking. On the other, there's worry about accountability and transparency. It's like you're trading one set of consequences for another.
Definitely. It sounds like a political tightrope. How does Dr. O back his claims? Does he rely mostly on anecdotal evidence, or are there documented sources in his presentations?
Great question. He refers to transcripts and circumstantial evidence, along with expert opinions from folks like Glenn Deason, who's been a noted commentator on Russian international affairs and geopolitics.
Right, Glenn brings in a lot of geopolitical gravitas. Speaking of which, Glenn Deason seems to have a strong following for his analyses. Is there a consensus amongst experts on these hidden agreements?
Not quite, actually. There's a mix of skepticism and caution. Some view the details as an overinterpretation of diplomatic maneuvers, while others find the indications compelling enough to reconsider the dynamics of US-Russian relations.
Yeah, that blend of skepticism and intrigue really fuels the debate. And that debate spills over into public discourse, especially with discussions on platforms like YouTube. The view counts and comments show a huge appetite for this kind of investigative insight.
Exactly. And it's a reminder about how multimedia content has reshaped our political discussions. Dr. O's piece, paired with Glenn Deason's background, has sparked conversations that challenge conventional wisdom.
It's powerful how media can shape our understanding. But I wonder, are we really seeing a change in how the US approaches peace talks? Or is this just one of many intriguing but isolated incidents?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? It might be one isolated incident, or it could indicate a broader shift towards negotiation over outright conflict resolution. Dr. O's analysis pushes us to look at these events in a larger context.
Yeah, that's certainly food for thought. And what do you make of the narrative around an unconditional ceasefire versus a negotiated peace? There seems to be a lot of baggage with the idea of an unconditional ceasefire.
Definitely. An unconditional ceasefire often implies a cessation without addressing the underlying issues. It's like trying to put a band-aid on a deep wound. A negotiated peace, meanwhile, suggests a willingness to engage with the root causes, even if it
Right,
means
that's a
complex
clever analogy.
compromises.
One aspect that I find interesting is how these discussions also hint at Trump's unique approach to international diplomacy. It almost seems like his personal style is in conflict with traditional expectations.
Yes, and that's what makes this whole narrative so rich. Trump's seemingly contradictory moves, his abrasive persona coupled with backing a nuanced peace strategy, forces us to rethink typical political archetypes.
Exactly. Yet, I do wonder if there might be political motivations behind these hidden agreements that we're not fully seeing. Could it be a strategic play to, say, undermine NATO or shift power dynamics in Europe?
That's a challenging point, and one that many critics have been making. There indeed is room for debate. Some argue that covertly aligning with Russia on major issues could destabilize long-standing alliances, while others see it as a necessary pivot in today's multipolar world.
Yeah, that definitely complicates matters. And looking at the audience reaction, it seems that many viewers are both shocked and fascinated by how a remote Alaskan meeting could have such far-reaching implications.
Absolutely. The remote setting almost adds to the theatricality of it all. It's like a spy thriller unfolding in real time, where the backdrop of Alaska underlines the clandestine nature of these discussions.
Right, it's almost cinematic, isn't it? In the end, these hidden agreements push us to consider the nature of power, secrecy, and diplomacy today. They challenge our perceptions of what's public and what remains behind closed doors.
Exactly. And whether these insights prove to be the start of a genuine policy shift or just an isolated incident, they undoubtedly open up a whole new arena in political and international strategy discussions.
A truly riveting arena indeed. It'll be fascinating to see how this all evolves, especially as new evidence comes to light and further analyses are published.
Absolutely. Keep an eye on the developments and the debates this stirs up in academic and policy circles alike, because it's these kinds of conversations that shape our understanding of global politics.
Yep, exactly right. Thanks everyone for joining us in this deep dive. Stay curious, and we'll catch you next time as we unravel more secrets behind the headlines.